Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing very well. So, welcome to the social study class. Today I'll be teaching you your chapter number 14 of social study, that is struggle for freedom in India. So now let's see learning objectives, that is concept of independence, All India Muslim League, World War I, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, non-cooperation movement, that is 1920 to 1922. Then the Indian National Army, India's independence and beginning of a republic 1947 to 1950, Indian National Congress, partition of Bengal, Rollat Act, rise of Mahatma Gandhi, civil disobedience movement 1930 and Quit India movement 1942. So now let's start the chapter. India's independence movement has in its fold these events: the British rule, establishment of the Congress, freedom movements by Mahatma Gandhi, and finally independent India with Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister. So here you can also see the picture of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. So now let's see the concept of independence. The period after the Great Revolt of 1857 was an eventful period in the Indian independence movement. Many leaders and reformers emerged at the national and provincial levels who made the Indians aware of the rights. They included great men like Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramhansa, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Rabindranath Tagore and Dadabhai Naoroji. They aroused the Indians with self-confidence for removal of social evils and making India free from the foreign rule. Lokmanya Tilak was leader made of special metal who was radical in his views. The British arrested him. When produced in the court, he declared, "Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it." This concept of Swaraj later became the main focus and philosophy of India's independence movement for the decades to come. Now let's see the next topic, that is Indian National Congress. In 1885, as the suggestion of Alan Octavian Hune, a retired British civil servant, 73 Indian delegates met in Bombay, now Mumbai. They founded the Indian National Congress. The delegates included people from professions such as law, teaching and journalism. A few years before, Dadabhai Naoroji had formed the Indian National Association. It merged with the Indian National Congress to make a bigger party. In the beginning, the Congress was not very active and used to give suggestions to the rulers of the British Raj. The suggestions generally were related to civil rights and opportunities for Indian in government jobs. Though the Congress claimed to represent Indians from all classes and castes, it represented only the educated and higher class people. It almost failed to attract Muslims, who mostly had become distrustful of Hindu social reformers. So now let's see the fact file. Dadabhai Naoroji and Gopal Krishna Gokhale were moderate leaders. Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal, called Lal Bal Pal, were the three popular leaders of the radical group. So here you can see the picture of A.O. Hume. So now let's see the next topic, that is All India Muslim League. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan started a separate movement for the uplift of Muslims. In 1875, he founded a college in Aligarh, which in 1921 became Aligarh University. Muslim forms the All India Muslim League in 1906, considering the Congress completely unsuitable for Indian Muslims. So here you can see the picture of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So now let's see the next topic, that is partition of Bengal. In 1905, Lord Curzon, the Viceroy and Governor General of India, that divided Bengal into two provinces, Eastern Bengal and Assam, with its capital as Dhaka, and West Bengal with its capital as at Calcutta, now Kolkata. The people became angry at that partitioning and coined the phrase divide and rule. For the policy practiced by the British Empire, Almost all leading intellectuals, including Rabindranath Tagore, raised voice against the partition, which was eventually dropped. So now let's see World War One. During the First World War, Indians supported the United Kingdom. About 13 lakh Indian soldiers went to fight in the war. Many rich people and princes donated money and materials to the war funds of the United Kingdom. To meet the expenses of the war, taxes were increased in India and price of common things went high. The people of India became restless. So now let's see the next topic, that is Rowlatt Act. After World War One, the high number of dead and wounded soldiers, inflation and heavy taxation affected the Indian masses in a big way. And unrest began to mount, which worried the British rulers. It led to the introduction of Rowlatt Act in India. The act gave the Viceroy's government great powers that included silencing the press, detaining the political activities without trial, and arrest without warrant of any individual suspected of treason. The act sparked huge anger throughout India and it was called the Black Act. So now let's see the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. In protest to the Rowlatt Act, people of Amritsar observed a peaceful hartal on 30th March and 6th April 1919. The government used force to curb the protest. On April 10, 1919, two popular leaders, Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Kichlu, were deported from Amritsar. As a reaction, the protesters committed acts of arson and attacked a few Europeans. On 12th April 1919, an order was issued by the government banning the meeting and gathering of the people. In Amritsar, on 13th April 1919, about 10,000 Indians had assembled in the Jallianwala Bagh to protest against the Rowlatt Act and to celebrate the festival of Baisakhi. The British military commander, Brigadier General Reginald Dare, ordered his troops to fire at the civilians in the Jallianwala Bagh without any warning. According to historians, 379 people were killed and about 1130 were injured in the firing. The firing incident is known as the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So here you can also see the picture of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So now let's see the next topic, that is rise of Mahatma Gandhi. Known as the father of the nation, Gandhiji played a key role in winning freedom for India. He introduced the concept of ahimsa and satyagraha, which he used to fight the mighty British Empire. Born on October 2, 1869 at Porbandar, Gandhiji completed his law degree in 1891 in England and returned to India. It was in South Africa that Gandhiji became a Mahatma from Mohandas. His life in South Africa underwent a change when he fought against racism and defended the rights of Indians there. When he returned to India in 1915, few people knew him. Very soon he became popular in India due to his simplicity and leadership abilities. So here you can see the picture of Mahatma Gandhi. Paying tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on his death, famous scientist Albert Einstein said, "Generation to come will scarcely believe that such a man at this walked the earth in flesh and blood." So now let's see the next topic, that is non-cooperation movement 1920 to 1922. After the World War I, the breaking down of democracy dream and the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy caused a lot of disappointment and anger amongst Indians. So in 1920, the Indian National Congress decided to launch non-cooperation movement against the British government under the leadership of Gandhiji. Aims. This movement aimed at resisting the British rule through non-violence and non-cooperation. Its main objective was to boycott everything connected with the British government. It included boycott of foreign goods and use of Swadeshi goods, boycott of government educational institutions, surrender of the titles and honorary offices, popularizing charkha playing and yarn spinning. So here you can see the picture of non-cooperation movement. So now let's see progress. Many students boycotted their educational institutions, lawyers gave up their practice, and a number of people surrendered their titles and resigned from honorary offices. People organized bonfire of foreign cloth and goods. Conclusion: though the movement was peaceful, yet an excited mob attacked a police outpost on February 5, 1922 at Chauri Chaura in UP, killing about 20 constables. Gandhiji felt that the movement had strayed from its path of non-violence, apprehending similar troubles in other parts of the country. He announced suspension of the movement. Now, outcome: the non-cooperation movement converted the freedom struggle into a mass movement. It gave people the weapons of non-cooperation and non-violence, that is ahimsa, and strengthened the Hindu-Muslim unity. So now let's see the another topic, that is civil disobedience movement 1930. In December 1929, the Indian National Congress decided to start the civil disobedience movement for complete independence, or Purna Swaraj, from the British rule. The party also decided to observe 26 January 1930 as the complete Independence Day. Under the leadership of Gandhiji, the civil disobedience movement was launched in early 1930. It began with the Dandi March. On 12 March 1930, Gandhiji and his followers left the Sabarmati ashram at Ahmedabad and made their way towards Dandi. After traveling over a long distance, they reached Dandi on 6 April 1930. Here, Gandhiji protested against the salt law of the government by making salt himself, thus throwing up a challenge to the British government. The Dandi March was the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. Here you can also see the picture of Dandi March. In response to Gandhi's call for the civil disobedience, the people of India in large number took part in the movement. The Satyagrahis took processions, held meetings, boycotted foreign goods, withheld payment of revenue, picketed before the liquor shops, and violated restraint order of the government. Thousands of women also participated in the movement. This panicked the government. The government resorted the use of force in order to suppress the agitation. Mass arrest, torture, fire, lathi charge became common. The Congress was outlawed. On 5th May 1930, Gandhiji and other top leaders of the Congress were arrested and put in jail. However, the country was becoming restless with each passing day, and finally Gandhiji and the other leaders were released from jail in the last week of January 1931. Eventually, on 5th March 1931, the Gandhiji-Irwin Pact was signed. So now let's see the next topic, that is the Indian National Army. Though Subhash Chandra Bose had been president of the Indian National Congress in 1937 and 1939, he and many other leaders of the Congress party had differences with the other majority group in the Congress on certain matters. Subhash Chandra Bose left the Congress and formed the new party named All India Forward Bloc. He secured support of Germany and Japan to fight the British in India. For this purpose, he organized the Indian National Army. The INA fought the troops of the British government in northeastern India and recorded many victories. However, with the surrender of Japan in 1945, INA's operation stopped. Bose is believed to have died in a plane crash, but the circumstances of his death are not clear. So here you can also see the picture of Subhash Chandra Bose. So now let's see the next topic, that is Quit India Movement 1942. In March 1942, the talks between the Cripps Mission and the Congress failed because they did not address the key demand of a timetable of self-government in India. In August 1942, Gandhiji launched the Quit India Movement, demanding an immediate end of the British rule in India. His mantra, "Do or die," inspired the masses in a big way to join the movement. Every man, woman, and child began dreaming of a free India. Large-scale protests and demonstrations were held all over the country. Workers went on strike. At some places, government buildings were set on fire, electricity was cut off, and communication lines were severed. The government's response was swift and oppressive. The Congress party was banned. Its leader, including Gandhiji, were sent to jail. People were beaten and flogged. By December 1942, about 1 lakh people were jailed, but the movement had united the whole country, causing fear among the British rule. The British released Gandhiji in 1944, who demanded the complete release of the Congress leadership. The World War II had weakened the economic and military strength of the British Empire. The leaders in the United Kingdom realized that it was no longer possible to carry on their rule in India. By early 1947, they set free all political prisoners. Finally, India gained its freedom on 15th August 1947. So now let's see the next topic, that is India's independence and beginning of a republic 1947 to 1950. On 3rd June 1947, the Viceroy Lord Mountbatten announced the partition of India into two countries, India and Pakistan. In this partition, many thousands of people were killed and separated from their families. On 26 January 1950, India adopted constitution and became a republic. Since then, we have been celebrating the Republic Day on 26 January every year. So that's all for this chapter, students. So now let's see recapitulation. In 1885, Indian National Congress was founded at the initiative of A.O. Hume. After World War I, the Rowlatt Act, named as Black Act, was introduced by the British government. In April 1919, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place. Lokmanya Tilak introduced the concept of Swaraj to his countrymen. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan founded a college in Aligarh in 1875 and launched a movement for the uplift of Muslims in India. That's all for today, students. I hope you have enjoyed this chapter. So now you have to revise this chapter and keep learning. Thank you.